I'm going to be joined by Dr. Sangeeta Reddy, who is the Joint Managing Director of the Apollo Group of Hospitals and who just in fact gave up the chair as President of the Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry. Good morning, Ms. Reddy, and thank you so much for joining us. The Economic Survey has very rightly pointed out that health crisis can lead to an economic crisis and also a social crisis. And everyone is in fact expecting health to be the center stage of the budget. And we don't have a very good record of spending hugely on budget, and we have an additional burden of vaccinations. What are the challenges that you are expecting, and what is the road ahead for the budget 2021?
So, morning, Uma. Happy to be talking to you a day before what is being called the dream budget or a once in 100 years budget. I think it's a significant point for us to note that the speed of which we implement the vaccine will be directly proportionate to the speed of the recovery of the economy. So clearly that's going to be a very important expectation of the budget, whether it is a framework which involves the private sector in giving the vaccine or in corporations in partnering to actually buy the vaccine. But as of now, the government is clearly seeming to say that they will do the entire vaccination program and use the help of private sector for implementation. But I think whichever route they choose, we've been moving strongly and steadily on treatment of the virus as well as on the vaccine. So we must stay the course. Jumping into numbers, I think last year the budget or the current allocation for healthcare is about 64,800 crores. And the estimate that for the vaccine to cover about 50% of the population, we will need anything upwards of 25 to 26,000 crores. So a 40% increase in the budget outlay is the minimum expectation I think that all of us have. In addition to that, clearly, the entire COVID scenario has highlighted the importance of having adequate healthcare facilities, of ramping up capability in rural as well as in urban India, the importance of research and how we can do more, but also I think the great opportunity that India has to lead the world, to become a medical hub for international medical services. So there's some tremendous opportunities in front of us, plus some tremendous needs. So we go into the budget with great anticipation and expectation that health will be centerfold, will be a great focus, and digital health also will be very well recognized as one of the accelerators of this positive movement towards universal healthcare.
Sangeeta, you pointed out that the speed at which we vaccinate will be directly proportional to the economic recovery. Is it now time for the government to allow private sector to in fact deal with vaccines and sell them like that, because the entire burden obviously cannot be taken up by the government? You give us figures of upwards of 25,000 crore rupees for vaccinating just half the population.
So clearly, Uma, vaccinating half the population itself is a significant and possibly near adequate milestone. Let me say that first. The second thing is that who covers the cost is one factor, but also production and distribution are two very important factors as well. I think the government's plan in terms of healthcare workers first, then frontline, like the police, and then moving on to vulnerable population is a very well thought through plan and is well entrenched in public health policy. So as that rolls out, I'm very sure that over the next 3 to 4 months, the next phase will open up, which will be to open up the vaccine, but this will be in consonance with the adequacy of the supply. So what we need to do is appropriate phasing, maintain the discipline, and of course continue to maintain the overarching data monitoring environment. I believe that the track we're on is right now, and the sooner the opening up comes, the faster the acceleration, but also it should be staged appropriately.
You've been talking about, all these milestones to be achieved of the vaccine drive itself. But right now, there is that kind of a hesitancy that we are seeing among health workers themselves Is that something that worries you? Because the government is already talking about frontline workers in terms of maybe the police force and others starting the second phase from the 1st of February, in fact.
So, Uma, this is a point. I think there has been a certain degree of hesitation, but I must also say that a large number, especially of doctors, have come forward and taken the vaccine, which clearly proves to public that the science is strong, the value of taking the vaccine is very high, and therefore I think that this hesitation and some of, some misinformation, I think it will dissipate over a while. And rather than wait, it's good to move into the next phase of enhancing the net, because after we finish the police and these kind of frontline workers, then we move into a very important phase, which is vaccinating the vulnerable public, people over 50, people with comorbidities. And, all of us are ready. We're ready to reach out to our patients, to participate in the program. And I think it's very important that we keep moving ahead. Of course, some of the nurses who did not take will very quickly come back into the fold, and it's not as if their names have been struck off. So they will also be allowed to come in even if they come in a few days later. This is a movement, it's a momentum, and it's continuing to pick up energy, force, and credibility.
And these reports coming in about, how much will be the efficacy of these vaccines that we know them as of now against the new variants, not just UK variant, but we're talking about something coming in from Iran and, of course, the South Africa variant.
Yes.
Is that something that we must worry about?
Suma, we're living in a new, fast evolving and very uncertain world. So worry is one thing, but the fact is that you will be more protected with this vaccine than you are without it. So undoubtedly we should take it. While at the same time, we must continue to encourage science and doctors to keep their eyes and ears open, to keep working on what they can do for adequate protection. As of now, this is the best option we have, and we should powerfully take it. I'm also happy to hear some early reports that the current vaccine is completely capable of protecting against the UK strain that all of us were hearing about. Now, the South Africa strain is kind of very new. It's less than a week old in reporting. So it will take a few weeks again to analyze. But this is a comprehensive virus framework, and therefore multiple variants will be covered in this current vaccine. And so I reiterate once again, because it's very important for us to reach that point of 40-50% of the population covered, adequate herd immunity, and entire economy picking back up again, and also a complete prevention of unnecessary deaths. So this is it's a public health initiative, it's a preventive health initiative, it's an economic initiative.
Yeah. One last question. The government obviously has limited resources. 40% you're speaking about, the vaccines are going to take away that money. Of course, we should see that as an investment, not an expenditure.
Correct.
But the second aspect is, how do you like this money to be distributed out? And the economic survey also spoke about some kind of a regulator that we should perhaps have in the private health sector. Perhaps that would that ensure against any kind of politically expedient kind of steps that the political class is very tempted to adopt at the time of crisis like we saw during the COVID crisis?
So we have no real information on what the regulator will do, Ma. I hope that, if there is a design for the regulator, it is about creating a framework for adequate public-private participation. It's about finding a way to roll out the National Digital Health Mission in an inclusive manner. It is for acceleration of universal health coverage. There will definitely be some aspects of price regulation, and I hope that good economics and the ability to think about replenishing the healthcare system is also the underlying assumptions of the health regulator. But it's early days to talk about that. Before that, I would say one of the critical aspects of this entire thing, and what I'm looking for and hoping for in this budget, is that the government will parallelly encourage public at large and society at large to invest in their own health. what we saw was people with underlying conditions, whether it's cancer, diabetes, hypertension, had the comorbidities, so to speak, had a higher sensitivity and a vulnerability to any kind of virus or any kind of illness. People must invest in their health. And therefore, our
You're
request
referring
is
to
in this
insurance,
budget.
is that?
I'm referring to insurance as well as health income tax write-offs for health expenditure related to health checks and preventive health care. The current level at 20,000 rupees is adequate to cover a family, and the recommendation we have is that this should be increased to 50,000 so that the public can very confidently spend on their own health checkups and on preventive health care. This is recommendation number one. The second one is an extension of 3080 so that this encourages people to invest in tier 3 and tier 4 cities. This is an act which was there earlier. So this is one more recommendation for healthcare on the budget. And of course, to encourage further coverage of health insurance. So these are three, I think, important things which recognize the fact that health is everyone's responsibility.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Sangeeta Reddy, for joining us.